Finally, after dinner, while everyone was hammered and dancing the night away, the food ran out. No. I discovered that one of his aunts RSVP'd not just for herself and her husband, but also for her 5 kids, their spouses, and all of their younger children. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of me reacting to your wedding stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Today, I have 2 stories for you today, so let's get into them. But first things first, a little fun announcement with my book. We are now rated as the #1 new release for comedic dramas and plays on Amazon. Thank you so much for the love and the support for the book. It's been so fun to read your reviews, your comments, and your DMs. So I'm just beaming over here with excitement for what's to come. Okay, guys, now on to the stories for today. Let's get into it. My friend got married roughly 8 years ago. While she and her husband are event promoters and planners professionally, every event has a hiccup or two. The ceremony was held in a gorgeous meadow in early August in California, so there were wildflowers galore. That also meant bees. Instead of freaking out, it became the bridesmaid's unofficial duty to subtly swat the bees away using our bouquets while the ceremony was happening. Oh no. So wildlife, especially when you're outside, there's not much you can do. I've been to a lot of weddings where at weird times, bees will come out. I find if it's later in the fall, a lot of times they're just kind of over it, but they will come by you or land on you. Yeah, that can be annoying or kind of scary if you're allergic to bee stings to have them land on you, especially when you're in a ceremony. I like how she worded that though. She said it became the bridesmaid's unofficial duty to subtly swat the bees away. In the wedding video, we're all tensely shuffling around and guests are laughing, but we didn't let that ruin the day. Oh my gosh. That made me think of, this is so random, but that made me think of a time when I think I was still considered the marketing intern at this office. It was my first real job out of college, right? And I was meeting the bosses at this convention in the city downtown. And so I had to park 2 blocks off because the parking was crazy. I'm not a city girl, whatever. I'm walking with all their coffees because they were giving me their Starbucks order. I'm walking with their coffees and a bee is swarming and I'm literally going like this, doing dunks, turning around in circles. And there was coffee shops, other stores I'm walking by, and I'm I probably look hilarious to the people inside, but I couldn't be bothered because I was I just need to get there in one piece, make sure I don't drop their coffees because I was scared of them. But anyways, I made it there one piece. At the reception, which began with an open bar and snacks while the bridal party took photos, followed by activities, one of the planned games, which was a life-size human foosball. I'm trying to picture that in my head. I know foosball, but how do you do a life-size one? They're all holding a thing and doing flips? How are we doing this? It didn't go over well. It had been set up in a muddy patch and everyone ended up getting their dresses dirty. I mean, I don't know. It's hard, especially if it's maybe it rained before, but when you're doing yard games and stuff, you either have to expect people are going to get dirty or make sure it's an area that is paved or something that people can do these yard games. I've seen them at weddings. They usually work out great, but I don't know. Foosball sounds a little messy. Do bags or something. Finally, after dinner, while everyone was hammered and dancing the night away, the food ran out. No. That is as a host, I don't host a lot of things yet right now. My husband and I have a really small place, but in our younger years, we have a lot of people at our house, or, of course, we hosted a wedding, those kind of things. My nightmare is running out of food for people. I don't want to be the event or the household where people go home talking about how hungry they were. I feel food is such a big deal. And I know some people focus most of their budget on food for that reason. You don't want people to be at an event for you for hours at a time over a meal and then they're hungry. I saw in Hot Takes yesterday, actually, someone sent me a message saying they were at a wedding where there was no meal served. And their hot take is, if you have a wedding or an event over a standard meal time, you should serve a meal. And I 100% agree. If you're doing a small, quick ceremony, then just have hors d'oeuvres, sure. But if you are doing a long, we're talking 5+ hours and not having a meal, no, you need to feed the people that are there. But of course, things like this happen where banquet halls or venues have run out of food. You would hope that doesn't, but I have heard more than one story where this happens. Okay, so they ran out completely. The caterer forgot to bring the midnight munchies they had promised. Luckily, a nearby corner store was open, and my friend's favorite food happens to be pizza rolls. Several guests took over the kitchen and made hundreds of them. Oh my gosh. They started walking out onto the dance floor with literal plastic buckets full of pizza rolls for the drunk partygoers to help themselves. I mean, I kind of love it. You know, if you're dancing the night away, anything is going to sound good, especially after a few drinks. Why not pizza rolls? I know there's been many weddings I've been to that on the way home we stop for something. At the hotel, we're in the concessions. Always good to have extra stuff. And it sounds like that was your new midnight munchie. So it worked out. Every big party will have a few hiccups. You just need to be ready to roll with them or surround yourself with people who can. I love that. Making the best out of a situation, and at the end of the day, forgetting your midnight munchies is not a big deal. People will find food. There's places open. You order a pizza. Unless you're in the middle of nowhere, you can usually find something. And I love that people just took over the kitchen and made it happen. All right, story number 2. When creating the RSVP section on my website, I decided to keep it open-ended, meaning I didn't go in and manually enter every single guest's name. Ooh, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I have a few things to say about this. 1, I have seen where people have the RSVP card and they just write in names. And I've talked about this before, but my husband and I were one of the last of our friends to get married. So I had seen things over the years and I was like, I want to make sure that doesn't happen. People will write in their kids' names. People will write in their friend's name. I've seen it all, right? I've heard it all. And then I've seen, in addition to that, when people don't put guest names in, where again, they add in anybody. They're like, oh, cool. It's a free-for-all. I'm going to say it. I'm bringing 5 people. Oh, my husband can't come, so I'm bringing my neighbor. It happens. You don't expect it to happen, but there are people that will do it, unfortunately. Okay, let's see what we got here. I assumed guests would only RSVP for the people specifically listed on the envelope. Newsflash to everyone listening, people don't read the envelope. They should. Some people will, but a lot don't. A lot do not. It's pretty astonishing. And as you plan your wedding, you kind of notice what people do and don't read things. Like, you spend all this time on your wedding website, and I love designing and stuff. So that was a fun project for me. You put all these details in, you put maps in, and so many people do not. They're like, what's going on? What town is it in? Is there parking? Where's the hotel? And you're like, it's all on the website. Okay. My husband has an enormous family. His father has 3 sisters and a brother. Each of them has between 4 and 6 kids. That's a lot. Most of whom are married or in relationships, and they all have 2 to 6 children of their own. I'm no math whiz, but that's a lot of people. I mean, we're talking, okay, he's got 4 siblings. Let's say they at minimum have 4 kids. That's 16 people. And then they all have an additional 2 to 6. Okay, I'm done. I'm not doing any more math. You can do the math. Figure out that's a lot of people. We made the decision not to invite the entire extended family. We only invited 3 cousins. Ooh, okay. I have hot takes on this too. Okay, because we're not close with the rest, I hadn't even met most of them. Okay, let me say it before I get into it. I know some people are annoyed when I stop so much, but I have so much to say that I'll forget by the end if I wait. I think it has to be even brackets. So what I mean by that is, if you're inviting one cousin, you do invite all cousins. Unless there's an estranged one where no one talks to that person and you haven't seen them in 10 years. Okay, sure. If you're inviting siblings of your parents, you need to invite all siblings of your parents. Again, unless there's a fallout and they don't talk to that sibling. If you're inviting, maybe you have 2 neighbor families that you're friends with, you need to invite both families. You know what I'm saying? So people that you would all hang out with together in the same room, you can't just pick and choose, is my feeling of it. I don't know. You guys might feel different. Fast forward to when we started checking RSVPs and realized the guest count was way higher than expected. I discovered that one of his aunts RSVP'd not just for herself and her husband, but also for her 5 kids. Their spouses, whoa. Also for her 5 kids, their spouses, and all of their younger children. So we're talking not just 2 people. Okay, so they have 5 kids, so that's 7. Their spouses, that's 12, and then younger children. So let's say that's anywhere from, if they each have a kid each, that's 17 people versus just 2. And that's on the low end, right? Holy cannoli. Meanwhile, aunt number 2 noticed that all of her sister's kids appeared to be invited and started asking why hers weren't. Oh my gosh, this is the skit I'm currently doing, which sparked a full-blown family argument. Mind you, my father-in-law had already told his siblings before the invitations went out that their children and grandchildren were invited. So the one pretended to not know, right? And that's going to cause a mix-up. And that's why people don't understand. They're like, well, if I just do this, it's no, if we allow you, this is going to start a whole thing. That's why you have to say no to one person, right? So one's breaking the rules. So the other one's like, wait, why are her kids invited and not mine? That is insane. Okay. The sisters ended up yelling at each other over the phone. And then they called my father-in-law and mother-in-law furious. I eventually had to call my father-in-law and ask him to step in and help sort everything out. Oh my gosh. This entire side of the family knew their kids weren't invited, and they also knew that my husband and I were paying for the wedding ourselves. See, people don't care though. People like that feel entitled to invite 20 extra people. They don't care that you're paying for it. They don't care what it costs. They see it from their point of view and their point of view only. These aunts were extremely well off, while we were very much on a tight budget. So adding 25 to 30 unexpected guests was a huge deal. I think that would be for most people. Like at the end of the day, I think I had 135 people at the wedding, around there. That's a huge chunk of people. And that's like not a small wedding. I mean, it's kind of like medium-ish, right? But if you're doing a smaller wedding or even a bigger wedding, if you have a 200 people, think of the cost of paying for that. That's adding 3 extra tables. That's, let's say, minimum $50 a meal. That's a lot of money. In the end, the aunt had to go back and tell her kids they were no longer invited because of the mistake she made. A few were understandably upset with us, but my father-in-law smoothed things over by reminding them that we simply don't have the kind of money they do. All of their kids are financially comfortable as well. After that, I had to lock down the RSVP system entirely and spent 2 full days manually entering each guest's name into the system to prevent this from happening again. Yeah. It sucks. It really sucks because a lot of times like people will hear brides tell their story of like how they had to do something and they're like, oh my gosh, such a bridezilla. And it's like, no, because when brides don't do things like this happen because it's someone that knew, like they knew their kids weren't invited. They had been told and they were just like trying to sneak it in there. I think making it as easy as possible to understand, like people are busy, things flip their minds, right? And so for my wedding, I had everyone's name in there just so like when they typed their name in, it came like everyone from their family came up. They could just check who's coming to each event, right? It makes things easier. But man, that's a crazy story. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's crazy stories. We had 2 stories this week. Nice little turn of events, adding in a kind of positive spin and then one how you kind of fix a crazy situation. Again, thank you guys for hanging out with me here. If you've not gotten my copy of Here Comes the Drama, a Ferris and Sloan story yet, you can get it at the link in the description below. This follows, in case you guys missed it, this follows Ferris and Sloan season 1 that I've posted on social media-ish because some things have been added, some things have been changed. As I'm kind of like putting it all together, I'm like, what makes sense? What doesn't make sense? And just making sure it's a cohesive story. Plus there's a little extra bonus scene at the end that you can't find anywhere else. So that's always fun. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me and I will see you next time. Bye now.